More Saudi stuff, Rob. It's inevitable. Sign of the times. Those reports that Mo Salah remains in the league's crosshairs won't go away. His agent, Rami Abbas, says that if he'd wanted to move away from Anfield, he would have gone already. But given that Jurgen Klopp already has Diogo Jota, Darwin Nunez, Luis Diaz, and Cody Gakpo, plus I might add Dominic Szoboszlai, who can easily play in the front three, played there for a big chunk of his career. Is there a price at which it would actually make sense for Liverpool to say, shukran for your service, Mohamed, and go, if he wants to go?
You've got the job, by the way. Yes, you speak the language. I would think that he is there. He'd be the diamond in the desert. I think he's the one that they really desire, because in that part of the world, you know, he is the one. He's the one player that they would like out there. I think at Liverpool, You
can't say he's the one player they would like out there, because otherwise Cristiano Ronaldo's going to get offended.
Is Cristiano listening? Is he a big fan? Does he subscribe? Sorry, Cristiano. He's the one that they want to succeed Cristiano as the footballing god that they take over to Saudi. He's still got usefulness to Liverpool, but they'll be doing the sums behind the scenes. They'll have the spreadsheet out, whereas Mo Salah has maybe got one more season out of him until he reaches that autumn point of his career, and then Liverpool will probably need to cash in. But I think Liverpool need Mo Salah at the moment more than they need whatever that golden figure is. And I don't think there is a golden figure that the fans would forgive if they let Mo Salah go. He's still selling shirts as well, and he is a wonderful player. And he's the brains behind the Liverpool operation.
I think it would be a different story if he came out and he said, okay, guys, I know I signed a 3-year deal, but I also know that it would help you if I moved on. I left a gap there. You're in good hands with Darwin, so much. But Luis Diaz, wonderful player. Jota, wonderful player. Gakpo, maybe one day. And if there was a way to do this amicably and it was a big enough number, maybe. But then it should have happened earlier in the window. I don't think Salah is going to say.
I don't think now, but my gut feeling is, and I've got to be careful because I'm a guest on LFC TV next week, they might ask me the same thing, but I think he's probably got a season left until they reach that kind of plateau where he's got value in him, and Liverpool will be maybe happy to let him go and say thank you very much, and he gets the massive golden handshake to go there. But that's just my theory. But I don't think now he's just the time.
Yeah, I do actually think, I know you say agents often like to lie and whatever. I think Rami Abbas is being 100% truthful when he says, if this is what he wanted, and you're sure he's been approached, right? There's no way he's not been approached.
Yeah.
I think he would have done this earlier in the window, would have benefited everybody, would have benefited Liverpool as well. So that's my feeling, but I'll tell you what, if I were a Liverpool fan, I'm just counting down to September 20th when the Saudi window closes. I'm going to draw a big sigh of relief. Stranger things have happened.
Absolutely. Even more Saudi stuff because we can't get away from it. Reports in local outlets that there's tension between Nuno Espirito Santo and Karim Benzema at Al Ittihad. What's your reading on this one? So
my reading of this, I can't speak to the specific situation. I'm not a Nuno fan. But the reports, they appeared in a Saudi newspaper, and it's something to do with the fact that he didn't actually want Benzema. And by the way, with all due respect to Nuno Espirito Santo, I kind of feel like saying, like, know your role and shut up, because he's Karim Benzema and you're Nuno. Right, so you're not Sir Alex Ferguson and you decide who you're going to sign. You're the freaking coach. You can thank Uncle George that you're there, and you're going to say, if Karim Benzema shows up, you're going to say, thank you, sir. May I have another? Okay, so that's my background to it. So I'm a bit surprised by this, but I think what it speaks to is that this in Saudi Arabia there is a football culture. There's a football media. It may be a different world, but this is not a country. This isn't China. This isn't MLS. This is a country where people, when it comes to football matters, aren't afraid to speak their mind, maybe start a little bit of controversy, maybe have different opinions. And I think people need to get used to that this is a solid, established football culture at the very least. I think this story reflects it. This is the kind of story you might see in Marca or in Mundo Deportivo in Spain, right? Or in the Sun or the Mirror over here, right?
Only one winner in that fight, though, isn't there?
I would assume it's Kareem, the Dream. Sorry, Jules, I used your catchphrase. Newcastle United have completed the signing of Lewis Hall from Chelsea. It's reportedly a loan with an obligation to buy at 28 million, rising to 35 million. Do you like this deal?
Yep, I think it's good for the young man who's probably not going to get a game at Chelsea. He's very close to being part of the Chelsea team. He showed great promise. Newcastle is the place to be. They've made great signings. loan sounds like
it's a loan with obligation to buy.
with an obligation. The 35 million is I think that's a great signing. He's potentially, an international player. He's potentially going to be a top 5 player as well. He's already shown that, and I think the deal is good for everybody. Good for Chelsea as well. He's maybe worth more, but it's pure profit for Chelsea. And then we can start talking about amortization and things like that, because if he's come through the system, then they're making money rather than if they bought him.
Interesting though, he's pure profit, but he's pure profit next season. And this season, of course, they won't be judged on financial fair play because they're not in Europe. Who knows if they will be next season, but they will be judged on the Premier League's financial stability rules. I find it interesting that they didn't do this deal now so they could book all the profit now, because I think they're still in the hole, substantially in the hole, right? Mm-hmm. I suspect this has more to do with Newcastle than with them. And what it says to me is that Newcastle, for all the money that they have, this is a club that's trying to operate within the financial guidelines.
It's something that Howe says all of the time, isn't it? That almost every interview, every time they sign somebody, he mentions financial fair play and having to balance the budgets. Yeah,
and they seem to like even their shirt, their shirt sponsorship, right? Do you know what Salah is?
No.
Okay, so Salah, you could say, it's a Saudi company that organizes concerts and stuff like that in Saudi Arabia, right? They could have done one of those, 100 million non-related party sponsorship. No, they didn't. It's relatively modest. It's like 20 million. It's a ton more than it really should be worth, because you can argue, what business does Salah have advertising shirts in the UK for concerts that people in the UK can't attend? Mm-hmm. But it's not out of this world. So I think they are trying to follow these rules, or at least not get punished for them, more so than other clubs, which I think slightly unusual.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.